Tonight, we get to talk to Cassidy. Go back, earliest memory, your religious experiences, what it was like growing up in the LDS church.
I loved it. I really loved it. And I've always been very sensitive to everything. I'm probably overly sensitive. So I remember having a sensitivity with God, I think. Not even knowing if it was God, though. I think I was just very sensitive, and maybe that was God, but at the time I just feel like I have seen things differently than a lot of people from a very young age, I remember. But that being said, even though I saw through things like the Mormon Church, I loved it. Yeah. And I feel like I should be a bit sensitive saying that I'm grateful that I grew up in it, because I know a lot of people spent a lot of their lives in it and put a lot more resources into it than I did. I was out early. I didn't raise my family in it. All these things that I personally feel very grateful to have been raised in the LDS Church for various reasons.
You made a comment that's interesting to me, and I understand what you mean by it when you said, I'm kind of bummed that I won't raise my kids in it.
Yeah.
Tell us about the trade-off. We know that physically, materially, religiously, boy, it's fun to be a Mormon. You got the road shows and the basketball and the dances, and it's just a great thing, you know. But what's the trade-off, and why is it worth it? Why won't you, without disrespect to the LDS church, but why won't you and Matt raise your kids Mormon?
To be honest, I think it's good to suffer a little bit and have to really face what everything is about. I don't want my kids to be placated by anything. I want them to have to realize this is my life and I want to know what it's about. And that's harder to do when you're, you know, distracted by fun religion or whatever. And then on top of that, and that's when I think God really reaches you, is through that existential, I know he did for me, of like, you know, just showing you who he is. And they can form their own thoughts, their own opinions. That's so important. I don't want, you know, I want them to question. I want them to be challenged, you know. And it is tough. After I was born again, I went through the hardest time of my life. The hardest time, the darkest time, you know, of just what is happening. But that's when that growth happened. That's when the growth happens, is through the suffering of, you know, continuing to just trust. The trade-off, I mean, obviously the Mormon Church is great, but the trade-off is freedom. You know, to be an individual, but in a body of believers that is unlike anything else. To be able to connect with like a fellow believer who just gets it is the best thing ever. And, you know, I want that for my kids.
Yeah.